Hello, my lovely audience. So, I remember doing a video, and I think a lot of people remember this one, but it was a video where Deku, well, he had a Titan, and he was able to summon things from video games and stuff like that. So I thought, why not give him a Titan? Why not actually do a series where he has a motherfucking Titan, and he becomes a pilot for that Titan? So this is a very hard what if, and it's going to be going through it's going to mess with a lot of stuff. But at the same time, who the fuck cares? It's going to be a great what if, right? You guys are going to love it. Just saw this one, so I thought, why not do it? So yeah, this is going to be real fun. So, in a distant other reality, there was a Titan, and this Titan was called in for a drop. But the problem was the guy who dropped this Titan set it up for a wrong course and fucked up badly. And it was an Ion. And this Titan, I'm just gonna say it's gonna be called just Ion for now. And this Titan goes and is sent out into space, just shot out there. And it's building up momentum and it's keep on going and going and going. And this Titan goes on a huge journey. It goes on the most biggest journey. And this is an Ion that is heavily loaded out. As in, this Ion creates its own energy. As in, it turns the carbon in the air into its own energy. I'm going a little bit Overwatch here, okay? And is able to turn the carbon in the air into energy to sustain itself. Without the batteries. It was a Titan that was made to not use batteries. It was to use just on the carbon of the air. And it's a very, very special Titan. So, it is sent out on this long journey. Now let's get to the My Hero Academia world. While this Titan is going through a long journey, My Hero Academia is, Deku's born quirkless. He has no quirk. He has nothing. He's literally just the same old Deku we have. But one day, he goes on a camping trip. And he goes on a camping trip when he is, I would say, let's see here. I would say 5. I'm going to say 5. And when this Titan is sent out, it goes in through a bunch of wormholes, all kinds of weird space crap. And it finds itself in the My Hero Academia universe. And it lands just right. Just right. Where Izuku Midoriya is. It crash lands almost like a meteorite right in the forest. Now, of course, satellites pick this shit up. But I'd say there's a whole entire devastating attack happening where everything is going on. Of course, All Might would be there to stop it and all that, but still, it's pretty big. And I'm gonna say that Deku, he sees it, and he thought it was like a meteor, so he wants to go check it out. And he goes over there, and he sees a rock. Because this thing has been traveling through space and time. And immediately it awakens and breaks open the rocks. And Deku sees this gigantic giant come out of the rock with lights and a gigantic gun on its back. And the Ion takes it and pulls it out and assesses Deku. And sees him as the pilot. Because the pilot, I'm just going to say, no. I'm going to say that the Ion speaks to Deku and says, where's the battle? Or, better yet, where's the pilot? Where's my pilot? And quickly assesses the data and everything and cannot find the pilot signal. So then destroys the connection with that pilot and sees Deku as a sign of being a new pilot. And I would say Deku explains where, he kind of is thinking, this is so cool, it's a fucking alien. And immediately when the Ion says, would you like to become a pilot. And Deku would immediately ask, what is that? Would I be extremely strong? And the Ion would say, even stronger than you can possibly imagine. Pilots are soldiers, and the strongest type of soldiers, the most strongest people out there. And immediately, Deku goes inside the Ion and gets synced with this thing. Excruciating, but worth it in the end, because Deku passes out from the pain. Anyone would at that age. And then immediately, right after, the Ion takes him to safety. Pretty much just kidnaps him. And for about 5 years, Deku has been missing. No one has seen him, heard from him. He's been in the woods and the mountains, and he's just been hidden. And also training and learning how to be a pilot, a proper pilot. Utilizing all of the Ion's capabilities and learning about it. Analyzing its strengths and weaknesses and making a proper way of fighting with this thing. And even being able to figure out how its repairing systems work, because this thing is self-sufficient and almost entirely. Its repairs can be completely done on its own through nanites and stuff like that. And it can replace the metal and turn other metals into higher grader metals, like use steel and turn that into something else. And yeah, it's just it's insane. And Deku also trains with the survival kit a few times, which is inside the Ion. And is, the Ion's intelligence, AI intelligence entirely. And he also gets a pilot's helmet. Now, of course, it takes fuck all forever to make one, and the circuitry would be insanely hard, but Deku becomes a interesting pilot. He also gets a data knife, and also a smart pistol. But they outfit with the pistol, instead of using live ammunition, they turn the ammunition into dummy rounds, or at least rubber bullets. And this thing is going to fire off shots that are going to hurt like hell. And Deku has his own jump pack. He has basically everything a pilot would have. And he has seen how he's worked out his whole body and has trained his mind so efficiently and learned some of the most advanced mathematics and sciences and just history and everything of the IMC and everything about the world that this Titan is from. And this Titan would have massive amounts of knowledge. And yeah. This Titan literally just created the most perfect soldier in the My Hero Academia world. Or hero, in the end. And I'm going to say that when Deku comes back to society, he comes back because of one reason. He comes back because he knows what the Ion did, and he wants to return, but he wanted to return under his own way. Because I'm going to alter the universe here a little bit. I'm going to say in this universe, people that are quirkless are treated horribly by people. But Inko was the nicest out of all people to the quirkless. Like, she was straight up nicest to Deku in every way. She tried to do everything for him. Try and help him with everything. But because even though he is, quirkless now, he is going to be the most dangerously powerful quirkless out there. And then here comes the best part. So, this is going to be so much fun. And they've actually practiced all system calibrations, even the ultimate, Ion ability where it shoots out a gigantic laser. They actually use that for mining and getting a place set up in the beginning, but it took so much power and it had to take about 6 months for it to fully recharge and be operational again, so he was on his own for survival for a long time. Anyways, so they go back to society, and immediately people are freaking out. And I would say that people kind of see this gigantic robot coming in. They think, oh, maybe it's like some kind of villain attack. Immediately, I would say All Might would be pulled away from his... I would say, no, this would be right after the attack with All Might, so he would still have that lung problem. Or no. But yeah, I'm going to say that he doesn't have the lung problem yet. And he wasn't, he hasn't fought all for one. And All Might comes in and sees this gigantic robot and does a full-on punch on, like, tries to do a full-on punch on Deku, and the Titan immediately takes control and punches All Might's fist. And what ends up happening, it creates a shockwave. And what ends up happening is this. The punch was so devastating, it pushes back both of them. It sends the Titan flying backwards almost, but getting its footing back just by latching onto the ground. And All Might sent flying into a building. Into the concrete, really is a better way. And immediately, Deku goes through the speakers and explains, "You're All Might, the number one hero." Oh, and by the way, fucking Ions would definitely have communication to the internet and everything. So Deku would obviously keep up with everything going on. And be like a ghost server, so that way no one could track it. So, fair enough. Ion's really good at hacking, so hey. Anyways. So, he would explain that he's not a villain, he's not anything like that, and this is a complete misunderstanding, and quickly gets out of the Titan. And people see his weird getup, and I would say that military would come in, all that, and they would quickly get this whole thing figured out and be like, well, we want to take you, the military would try and take them and put them into the military and do some research. But I think the Ion would immediately strike up a deal with Deku. And they've been preparing, Yeah, I'm going to say they strike up a deal. And it's going to be for clean energy. And they strike up plans for clean energy, and they basically ask what they want in return. And what ends up happening later on is this. Deku is put into school for just people with quirks and everything, and is marked as having a quirk. And that quirk is going to be peak body, peak strength, as in having the peak amount of, perfect amount of strength, peak human strength, really, is what I'm going for. And I would say that where the Ion would be held is pretty simply this. It'd be held in a safe house far, far, far away. I'd say that Deku would get homeschooling classes instead, actually. That way he'd be with his Ion. And he wants to live a normal life. So he goes out, he gets all his stuff, and he lives a normal life. Now, here's the thing. I'm changing this plot too much. Fuck. Let's scratch that. Military police don't come in. Fuck. I'm gonna say that, military, they don't come in, nothing comes in. I would say that immediately they get the whole thing cleared up, and people are kind of amazed by a gigantic robot walking around. So they set up, I would say that Nezu would come into this picture around here, because you'd probably hear about this technology sooner or later. And it kind of gets big news around the whole entire area of Japan, then later on the whole world. And they mark it off as saying, oh, it's Hirotech. We're going to be using this, this is a prototype for using it in, for, the UA exam. We're thinking of using this in a UA exam, so which they're gonna do. They say it's like that, and that they're trying to. It's just a prototype in the end. And I would say Nezu has Deku with housing and everything, and gets him in his own little schooling, private tutoring from Nezu. Nezu. And what ends up happening to Deku, for his whole stay is he pretty much lives a normal life just with a Titan in his house. And he lives in UA in in the, I'm trying to remember, they have the little housing unit thing they have there, I can't remember what it is. The dorms, yeah. And the Ion is just kind of hanging out around back. Or underground or something, maybe, so yeah. And, basically years go by, and when Deku wants to attend UA, he gets the chance. And they put him through they kind of skip the written exam because he's already proven his ability. But no, I would say they would still put him through it, and he completely aces it because his learning and everything is more advanced than this. So he would definitely be higher up in, intelligence. And I would say he even explains how some problems could be, well, how he kind of just answers them with a entirely different question, which makes the entire, basically he just gets 100% and also 100 dick points because he was a dick when he wrote the whole thing, his answers, because he answered them, then said, "This is wrong," and explained how, and how this is more better, and just explain just insane math problems that are even higher above that, and just it's just insane. All right, math's not my forte, and all kinds of things are just insane. Science even included. Jesus Christ. And then for the practical exam, I would say that they would allow BT because he is synced with Deku's mind. So they would have to allow it, but at the same time, they don't want to have a gigantic robot coming in. So what they do is they say, save it for later when you make an appearance as a hero or whatever. Or when you're actually doing internships. You may bring it depending on where you're sent. And I'm going to say that Deku, for the practical exam, is just in his the pilot outfit. And he's wearing really just kind of like what Jack Cooper had almost. So, yeah. And what ends up happening there is, let's say that people are kind of wondering what he's wearing, because it's gear that he has, and they see it as gear that kind of syncs with his body, and it's only gear he would be able to use, and they don't really think much of it because, well, they've seen it, but at the same time, they don't really, he could perform good either way without it too. So I would say without the gear, he's basically, without the gear, he goes in, and he just has the helmet on, and quickly just starts destroying robots as soon as it starts, and saves Araka too, by literally pulling her out of the wreckage and throwing her safety and getting out of the way. And after destroying a lot of robots, he gets an average score. And people are kind of amazed that someone was just doing it with their bare hands and just kind of going at it without looking like they didn't have a quirk or anything. So yeah. Private lessons with Nezu and is labeled still quirkless. By the way, he's doing great already. So when he is in class 1A, because he would definitely get in there. I don't know if there's a class S1, but if there was, he should be in there. Anyways, class 1A. And he immediately notices that, I would say he didn't have his helmet on at this point. Even the exam, he wouldn't have his helmet on. So yeah, he'd just be normal. And he would notice Aizawa was behind the desk, and he's probably seen Aizawa around a few times and met him a few times. But at the same time, fanboys a little bit and is just amazed. I would say that the Ion also had some ability to analyze the fighting styles of certain people over videos and all that, and just kind of create a program out of it. This is an Ion that's heavily advanced for where it should be, and was kind of like a prototype in itself. So yeah, this thing was not really ready for combat, but at the same time ready for combat. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, Deku immediately, people would start coming up to him and asking what his quirk is, and he would immediately respond with, he is quirkless. And people would be like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how'd you get your body like that? And he just says, I trained in the mountains for 5 years, and that's kind of like where he was able to build up such amount of strength, and people are just kind of like looking at him like, wow, that is actually amazing. And these are people who are from families who don't really see people who are quirkless. But Bakugo is kind of like just like, they're just like, ugh, quirkless, useless. And immediately, when Aizawa starts the whole entire physical exam, Deku doesn't really see any complaint in it, and throughout the whole exam, he gets about an average score, except on everything that's like physical, like arm strength and everything, where he gets really high scores and is actually the highest in the whole grade. And I'm gonna say that in the running, he did, let's see here, I would say that he would do better than almost everyone except Ida and Bakugo. And people would be kind of surprised by how he's able to run so fast and get around so quickly. Then, Mineta would get booted out and get quickly taken out of UA. And as for what will happen with Heroes vs. Villains, I'm going to stop it at the Heroes vs. Villains because... No, I'm going to stop it at the USJ because I owe you all this. At the Heroes vs. Villains, Deku is going to be wearing his pilot outfit and immediately be met with... mind you, he would definitely know a lot of fighting styles that are military combat-wise and takedowns that are completely insane almost. And the pilot gear would be coming with its own abilities. And I'm going to say that the abilities it comes with is, mind you, All Might's eyeing this boy out and is like, this guy, he's really good. He's a really good candidate for One for All. He's been thinking about it for a long time, but at the same time, he's not sure because a little mysterious where he came from, especially where that robot came from. So he's not so sure. So yeah. Now for what is going to happen with, mind you, there was no Sledgeon incident because obvious reasons. Now what's going to happen with, I would say that the Ion is going to have a nickname and it's going to be called Green. Because I would say Deku painted it green because why not? And I'm going to say that green is uploaded into his helmet, so he's able to get an entire layout of where everything is inside. Well, he's going to be a part of the Heroes team, and I would say that person would be with him is Kendo, because martial arts. They kind of want to see who would be better in the sense. Teachers are wanting to know, and also I think students would like to know. But at the same time, it's really good to see where their strengths are and weaknesses are, just to see the comparison. And I'm going to say that Deku wearing this suit is definitely going to be having amplified strength, apparently, because that's how pilots are. So, I'm going to say that Deku is going to be just using his fists. And, his suit ability would be STEM, so... Yeah, if anyone knows Titanfall, you know what STEM is. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Alright, so, no, I'm not going to give him STEM because Octane, if anyone knows that. Anyone play Apex? Octane? Yeah, no, I'm not going to get him addicted. I'm going to say, this is going to be who should I do? I'm going to say Grapple. Should I do Grapple? Yeah, Grapple. He's going to have a grappling hook. Because, grappling hook and hover, where he can hover above. Because that's what this pilot was going to have in the Titanfall universe. So, yeah. Now, as for what's going to happen in this whole entire test or exam, Deku, how did I put this? He walks in, knows where Bakugo is, And, well, Kendo tries to, charge Bakugo, but gets taken out by an explosion. And immediately, Deku charges in, wall running, and kicks Bakugo right in the fucking jaw, launching him into a wall. And then before Bakugo can get to his senses, Deku comes out with just pure ferocity, just ferociousness, or I don't know, whatever. Anyways, you know what I mean. And punches him down in the wall, and immediately restrains him with some. I would say he restrains him with some zip ties, and takes away his the gear that's on him, the hand grenades, and then I would say he assesses Kendo and sees if she's okay, and diagnoses her with a mild concussion. Just knocked out, really, I would say, and picks her up and carries her throughout the whole thing. Never leave a person behind. And actually, no, I would say he would bring her out and put her to safety behind some cover, and immediately grapples upward, because he only went in through the main entrance with Kendo just to make sure she's okay, and quickly grapples up to where the objective is, and immediately, I would say, is right by the window. He didn't really be expecting this, but he would have heard something, so he's on guard about the door, and I would say he wouldn't have heard something, and Deku would then smash the window and come in and punch Ida square in the face. Or, right in the chest, which then he would try and block. Well, I would say Ida would try and block it, taking most of the force into his forearms, spraining his forearms, and Ida would then try and proceed with a kick, which does hit Deku and taking him out almost takes him out. And Deku would immediately come back with grabbing Ida's leg on the next attack and slamming him down into the ground, and using the speed that Ida was projecting himself with to basically slam him into a wall. And instead of slamming him into a ground, he slams him into a wall. And then Deku punches him right in the face, breaking the helmet, and also giving Ida one hell of a concussion, and touching the bomb and winning. Booyah! Alright, so, what would happen next is this. Deku would be then getting, for the USJ, he would be getting the Ion would come in, and they would say that it is something that he made to go under, it is something that he made and also was working on for a while. And not only people realizing that, they're like, oh my god, he's so smart and yet so strong and just so dangerous, and people are kind of afraid of him now. Even Kendo is kind of afraid that how powerful he is, and they would kind of just start realizing, is this guy even human anymore? He's got his own, he has a gigantic mech suit, and yeah. And I'm going to say that the girl in the suit, Zero or whatever her name was, I can't remember, the girl in the astronaut suit, she would be surprised by a gigantic robot coming in, and Deku's in Ion. And immediately, it was a pain in the ass to get him in. Immediately when they arrive, obviously there'd be the fire going on, so that way they can, because that's the whole USJ's purpose. The fire is going on, so there's gonna be a lot of carbon in the air, I would believe, and he would then be using that as energy. So when the EMP kind of goes off, Deku's just geared up and fully powered. And immediately, I'm going to say that every villain that comes in is like, oh shit. Let's focus fire on that first. So Shigaraki has everyone focus fire on BT, with everyone with a long-range quirk fires off shots, and Deku just pulls out a shield, and immediately all the projectiles freeze. and they all freeze as the shield is projected around the entire class. And everyone is wondering, what the fuck? And Aizawa, the girl, that Zero girl, whatever, the astronaut girl, and everyone is just like, what in the world just happened? And then he releases the shield, and every projectile goes flying back at the villains, and they start taking hits. So then they basically have it like this. All the heavy hitters are going with Deku in the middle of the whole fight. They basically teleport Deku in the middle of the fight and teleport everybody else somewhere else. And what ends up happening is this. Deku doesn't really take any damage here in this Ion. Basically, he's just swiping them off him and just wiping them off just easily. And they're all just flying off. And I'm going to say that they send in the Nomu on Deku. And that's when the Ion kind of analyzes the Nomu and sees that it has no intelligence. Like, it's analyzing its brain functions because it's fucking exposed, for crying out loud. The brain is exposed. So it would say that with its superior technology, I would say that it's seeing how it's receiving commands. It's no better than a robot. So, what does someone with a Ion do? Seeing how it's not human, laser, beep, and immediately disintegrates it. Turns it into paste. Yeah, that's where Shigaraki and Kirigiri just bye-bye. They leave. Yeah, that's the USJ event. And Deku pretty much takes out the rest of the remaining villains, and yeah, pretty much just wraps them up in a nice present for All Might to come back to. Well, come to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So have a good day and a good night, and peace out.